Invented in the Netherlands and now owned by a Canadian company, the Robird is being trialled in the skies above Australia's horticultural crops. But what is it?
It's a drone that's modelled off a biomimetic falcon.
What's a biomimetic falcon?
So instead of a normal, say, fixed-wing drone that will glide and be propelled via a propeller, it works on flapping its wings, which makes it a pretty unique tool, I guess.
Robird was initially commercialised to eliminate bird strikes at airports, but since being taken over by the Canadians, it has been put to a different use. Ben Gray is the Australian lead for Robird.
Its aim is to imitate a predatory bird and create, I guess, a predatory presence in an area and reduce the amount of bird damage in crops.
Bird damage costs Australian horticulture $300 million a year. Robird was brought to this part of southeast Queensland after it caught the attention of Blair Brown, Principal Industry Lead for Food and Agribusiness at the City of Moreton Bay Council.
2 years ago, I walked a row just up the road there and there was significant bird damage. And as soon as this thing came up, I thought this is tailor-made for us. We hear stories every year and it just got to a point where I honestly was just jack of hearing these stories and I thought I'm going to do something about it. The technology's here, it exists. So I really went hard at trying to get it here.
Brought to Australia by Hort Innovations, they've been testing this model and others since last November as part of a 3-year trial. Andrew Francie is Hort's General Manager of Industry Services.
The results have been encouraging. There's more work to do right around the country, though, to prove this technology.
Has the data started coming in, and if so, what have you learnt?
So we've learnt that early stages, crop losses are reduced by 89%. And that's in almonds and now strawberries. We've got more work to do. So we're going to be trialling this technology from apples to almonds, from cherries to strawberries, right across the country in different conditions so that we can prove the technology works.
Drone operators Jim Climey and Harry Legastus work solely on the Robird project.
So I'm just checking over all the control surfaces, the actual wings themselves and the tail panels, as well as our elevators and ailerons, making sure everything's all tight, there's no tears or fatigue points happening, as well as obviously your propeller, make sure it's not chipped anywhere or it's free spooling.
Jim, what's it made from? It looks like a core flute or a cardboard.
Yeah, so the main body itself is 3D printed plastic. The wings are a bonded styrofoam, effectively, with some carbon fiber reinforcement inside. And then the tail, due to weight constraints, is cardboard, but it is reinforced with carbon fiber as well. So it gives it that lightweight rigidity. All right. Okay. Launching. Yep.
I have reacted.
Beside the predatory actions of the machine, Ben Gray says they're looking at the impact the Robird is having with a whole-of-ecosystem approach, taking into account the way birds move and feed within that system.
In an agricultural context, you have very, very complex sort of range of insects, birds, a whole heap of different organisms interacting within that sphere. So it's really important to understand what is causing the damage and then targeting that.
Farmers can usually point to the birds they see feeding in their crops, but the team says a second assessment is critical. By identifying the species causing the damage, they can tailor a response that protects crops without disrupting the wider ecosystem.
So it might not be to fully remove a bird from an area because those birds might be important in that sort of ecosystem. So we try and establish, I guess, the minimum amount of management that is needed to reduce that bird presence in the area.
The farmers in this case are Laura Wells and Tim Harris. They own separate strawberry farms, but for the past 30 years their families have shared a boundary, packing sheds and ethos. Strawberries are traditionally grown on the ground in beds. These farms have moved to an outside tabletop production, which changed the nature of pests.
When we transitioned into tabletops, we basically went away from losing crop to hares and ducks and other kinds of predators, and then we've moved into the lorikeet world. So Robird for us is like a godsend in the sense that we have the capacity now to actually scare them on and move them on with a more softer approach.
How much produce were you losing, or do you lose to birds?
We lose a lot, actually. $50,000 to $200,000 a week would not be a shy thing to say. It is a seasonal, a weather predicting thing.
Bird behaviouralists are often sceptical about the next big thing to mitigate birds on farms. Is this latest tech on track to do the seemingly impossible?
Daryl Jones is a Professor Emeritus at Griffith University. Professor Jones started studying bird solutions for cropping in the 1980s.
Every time there's a new gadget come down, I seem to get asked to have a look at it, which is an exciting sign now what's going on. But it's also really depressing in terms of the sense that some of these things are being sold as the final solution, and they never really are.
And like many journalists before us, Landline also asked for his opinion, this time on the Robird.
I think the Robird is likely to be much more successful than others using tech because it mimics a real live predator, and that's what we really want. That's what they're trying to do. Now, the problem, of course, will be this, do the birds just get used to it?
Good question. I asked it of Ben Gray.
Will they just get used to it and go, this is a no threat at all?
Yeah, so that's something that's super hard to differentiate. Whether it's a novel thing or if it's a predator, we've been seeing increased removal rates and reductions in damage over initial time periods versus final time periods. So generally when you have a deterrence tool, you will have that initial sort of, novel removal factor of the tool, which will be really high, and then you'll decrease in time, which is called habituation. So we have seen kind of the opposite of that, which is really exciting.
Farmers Laura and Tim had all but given up. They'd used gas guns, which they say moved on the cockatoos, but the lorikeets weren't so easily scared.
We pretty much gave up last year. So
Yes.
we heard the birds flying over, and it got to the point where we were using blowers to blow them away, and they didn't move on. So last year me and Laura just were sitting there going, oh well, that's just part of the game.
Ultimately, we stopped counting the loss and just started using it as this is what the normal is now.
For the strawberry farm, this trial has lasted 2 months, but it's the first of a few.
They're coming back next year to continue the trial to see if the results continue on.
Be sad to see them go and see what returns.
So what does it all cost? There's the device itself, operating it, plus assessing the data. Working out those logistics are the point of the trial, according to Andrew Francie.
We need to do commercial scale trials. Connecting researchers, technology providers and growers together is key to that. That is our role, so that then we can then do the business case and the economic benefit.
In part, the job of figuring out how the Robird model will roll out comes down to Jill Vickers, Chief Growth Officer for Robird.
From the information that we've gathered so far, we really think that might be multifaceted. So some growers may have people on their farm that they would like to train on how to utilize and how to fly Robird.
She says that's the model they're pursuing at this stage.
And then in parallel, we've had a lot of conversations with growers who aren't so interested in piloting themselves and would like more of a service model. So at this point in time, we're actively looking to pursue both and really trying to understand, as I said, how to best get the technology into the hands of the growers.
Jill Vickers won't be drawn to a price, saying she feels like they haven't had enough validation yet.
We definitely understand loss and damage. We really want to make sure that we are adding value to the space in an attainable way.
Now, the big question, have you noticed any change at all?
Well, actually, we were very optimistic at the start, and the drone flyers, they really seen the pressure that we actually are under, and even they were a little sceptical, I think, in the beginning. But we are seeing absolutely positive results to the point where we're walking outside and not actually noticing any birds. We're a little bit apprehensive about when the boys will move on to the next trial, that we're going to see that pressure.
And those pressures aren't small, with questions about if birds come back, how quickly will that be?
What I've noticed is I have a farm that's only 1 kilometre away from here that we usually don't get hit. We're actually seeing a lot of crop damage in that field, so which is just 1k from here. So this area and site has actually been reduced and it's actually moved somewhere else. So I think that is a really big indicator to show that across all industry or location, we'll all start needing to be implementing this kind of bird technique in order to protect crops.
It's a call to arms, and Andrew Francie says Hort Innovation have more growers getting involved in the trials.
They can contact Hort Innovation directly if they want to be involved. We've got a good group of growers lining up across the country.